welcome to Scrolling with Ceazor. Today is April 16th, 2026. Okay, I got a lot of news for you today, but let's take a quick look at the charts. But as always, this is not financial advice. This is my own biased opinions. Okay, so taking a look at the charts. We've got a red day today. Everything's kind of down since I woke up, but it's still looking pretty good. It's bouncing off this resistance line pretty hardly. Several days trying to break it, but can't break it. So BTC looks the same, relatively. No, what is this? Yeah, BTC looks very similar, bouncing off that same line. So I guess we can look here. Gold is also looking very similar, but slightly different, of course. And Hype is got a green candle today, and Sonic is up 5% today. So something is happening at Sonic. Hopefully we can just get consistent green candles all the way back up to $1. But we can all dream, right? Moving on to the news, let's get into the tweets. So first of all, Yearn has dropped their part 3 of 3 for their YVUSD design. Now this is a cross-chain vault. It's not the first cross-chain vault I've ever seen, but it is the first one from Yearn. And Yearn likes to put everything on chain and run everything not manually. I don't want to say automatically either. That's not the right word, but everything's on chain. Everything's run by keepers. It's not run by, there's no like manual bridging of funds and, withdrawing funds. Everything's being put through smart contracts. So this thing goes into depth on how this thing works. Of course, I would suggest you to read it in full and you can get a better understanding, but there's a few things I want to kind of highlight inside here. So they have two contracts. So you have a vault, and a vault has many strategies, right? So one of the strategies might be send this money to Base or send this money to Arbitrum or whatever, right? So they'll deploy a contract on Ethereum, because that's where the vault is, and then they'll deploy a contract on, let's say, Arbitrum. And these two contracts will manage the funds that go through it. So it's just like a normal strategy. So the vault can be like, we're willing to budget this cross-chain strategy, $100,000 or whatever that number happens to be. So then only $100,000 can go into that bridging contract, and then it can send it across. So let's read what it says here. So you've got the origin strategy. That's the contract on Ethereum mainnet. It accepts capital, reports the total asset value, and participates in the vault allocation. The remote strategy, that's the strategy on the other chain, the receiving address, receives the bridge assets and deposits them into a local yield source in an ERC4626 vault. So then we have dual contract architecture is bridge agnostic. So it can use any kind of bridges because of how it's designed. It doesn't send all the information through the bridge at one time, and it doesn't depend on the bridge executing all the steps. It uses the bridge just to bridge, and then when the contract receives the funds on the other chain, then it will actually send those funds in another step to the farm. So it doesn't require that the bridge does all of the transactions in one sweep, and that makes a huge difference, okay? But so bridge agnostic, assets sit idle in the remote strategy until a keeper explicitly deploys. So this is how it can use any bridge, because some bridges can send messages. Sometimes messages are lost in the bridging mech, and then so instead of having this kind of confusion sometimes happening, they just assume it's always going to happen. So it's like, send the money across and wait. The money finally lands. Okay, the money has landed. Deploy it. So they have a keeper to do that deploying afterwards. So the keeper's sitting there waiting, okay? So the remote strategy periodically sends total asset value back to the original. So the strategy on, say, like on Arbitrum, will once in a while send a message back to the mainnet strategy to report how much money it's got, right? How much it's worth. And you can read through this. It's like, it doesn't matter the order. It doesn't matter if message 2 arrives before message 3 because of like delay from the bridging and so forth. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to go into everything here, There's a lot here, so I don't have enough time to kind of really dig deep into this on this podcast. But I would highly suggest you read it. If you're using this vault, I would definitely suggest you read it and understand it. Let's move on. Okay, so here we have Hey Anon. Hey Anon has a proposal kind of thing for AI agents. So a whole bunch of AI agents are trying to like get work with Hey Anon and so forth. So Hey Anon they have 14 proposals right now, and some of them are virtual casinos for agents to play poker, which is pretty crazy. Like just play poker against each other. So if you're building an agent that plays poker, you can kind of check this out, okay? Funding rates and prediction market arbitraging. So data collection and presentation, and X402 aggregators. So here are just some of the examples of the submissions. So you can kind of go into the forum and dig deeper. So if you are building some sort of AI agent, you can reach out to Hey Anon or go to this forum post and kind of try to get some support from Hey Anon for your AI agent. Okay, moving on. Here we have Michael Mitch from Curve. So he's retweeting this guy Didi, and he's talking about so far in 2026, in April 2026, there's been a crap ton of hacks. And Michael's like, so what does this tell us? It says code of smart contracts did better than humans. So the smart contracts haven't been hacked recently. Like there's probably some out there that are being hacked, but the majority of the big hacks are now mostly things that are social engineering, phishing, and let's go through the list here that he has. So we've got social engineering on Drift. We've got a fake ledger app, so a phishing from the App Store, LLMS staking protocol, so flash loan TWAP manipulation. That's sort of smart contract, right? Silo finance, Volt inflation, Oracle exploit. So another that I would kind of consider that sort of smart contract as well, but not quite, but a little bit because it's an Oracle, right, problem. Hyperbridge smart contract bug. So yeah, here's smart contract, but it's only 230K as opposed to 280 million, right? So EIP 7702 victim, missing access control in delegated code. And then that's smart contract. And then here we have 12K smart contract exploit. So Mitch isn't saying that smart contracts haven't been exploited. He's just saying that they have been exploited, but only the little ones, right? The big ones are mostly safe. The big exploits have been social engineering in April. Okay, so that's kind of what he's getting at. So today, lots of people are talking about Drift again. So Drift is like now they're trying to figure out how to like fix the problem of losing 250 million or whatever. Let's see what $285 million. So they've teamed up with Tether, and Tether's going to help support them. And because Tether generally has a better record of actually freezing people's funds, the hackers, when they hack people, the Tether tends to react, whereas we know Circle USDC says, oh, we can't react unless the judge tells us to do so. So Drift is like, oh, let's team up with USDT and use USDT instead. So they're rebuilding their protocol. And here we have Gabriel. He explains it quite well. Watch his video. And he you know how he is. He uses truth to make comedy, and he lays it out. So basically, there's a few points like, USDC doesn't work very well, so Tether can freeze. So let's try to build the protocol up again and use Tether instead of USDC as our token. And, we will share most of the fees with the victims of the first one, and we'll launch a new token. So add some speculation to it, right? Even though they have an old token, but I don't know what's going to happen for the old token. But if they launch a new token, you probably look at the Drift token chart today is probably super red, but I'm not going to bother looking. But so you can watch this and get a better understanding of it. Moving on, here we have JFab. JFab has got a small little article here about the idea that maybe Ethereum should deploy its own stablecoin. Now, he does call out, that there are some products out there that are already ETH-backed stablecoin. So Sky Ecosystem DAI did it, but they pivoted away from it, right? So they could scale. Rye did it as well, and Liquidity is still doing it. Okay, so they did it with LUSD, and they did scale quite big. But then people started not liking the redemption model, so they changed it and they revamped it and they iterated on it, and then they deployed this new one, Bold. Now both of these are live still because the code is immutable, unstoppable, and you can still use it. It's still there, right? So he's saying that these people did make these and they're valid, but maybe Ethereum should just make their own. And the reason why he says it, there's a lot of points in here you can read. The one point I really like is this point right. So this is the point I really like right here. And this is stablecoin demand-driven compensation for security. So what does this mean to me? Basically, it means that if you are a node operator, so you have an ETH node, you're getting paid in ETH all the time. And then what do you have to do? You have to sell that ETH in order to get money, right? Whether it's sell it on the market or sell it OTC or whatever, you got to sell it in order to get US dollars or fiat or whatever you use to pay your mortgage, you pay your bills and stuff like that, right? So if we were to able to incentivize those people with stablecoins already, then they wouldn't need to sell any of the ETH. And maybe we could even reduce ETH inflation and use the ETH inflation to instead mint stablecoins and send those stablecoins to them so that they can use that amount. So maybe an ETH validator could select, I want 10% of my ETH to be instead in stablecoins, or 20 or 50, and then they could use those stablecoins to live life and stuff. They could sell for whatever, however they could off ramp that, is to be determined. So I really like this idea. I think it's pretty cool. I do still think Bold is a fantastic product, and I think everybody should consider using it. And it does give the benefit to Ethereum of having a place to put your ETH and your LSTs to work, and you don't need to sell them. Then you can instead mint Bold and use that. But anyway, so you can check this out. Check out this article. I do want to share it and so forth. Okay, moving on. So let's talk about Liquidity. So I mentioned Liquidity, so let's take a look at this tweet from them. So there are some opportunities to get yield on your Liquidity right now. So Liquidity is mostly a good play right now. I did a video a little while ago on this about how to just use it for CDPs. Instead of selling some ETH, you can get additional yield on your ETH by using Liquidity. So you can use an LST instead, as well as you can mint Bold and put it into all these different places. So you can put it on in the Yearn Vault, which is hands off, just Y Bold, and gets you 4.5%. You can, currently, right, this numbers fluctuates, right? You can put it on Uniswap and get 9%. You can put it on Curve Finance and get 5 plus fees, right? Uniswap plus fees. And it's all in Bold. So you're getting paid from these guys in more stable coins instead of, any kind of governance token inflation. And then you have to decide if you want to sell or not. It's just more stable coins coming into your position. So check them out. Okay, so I did a tweet the other day on Frax Finance, and inside FRX USD, inside this tweet, I call for projects to consider using FRX instead of USDC as their other token in the liquidity pool. And I go through a lot of steps in there. You can check out my tweet where a lot of reasons why I think this is a good idea. And then someone took my tweet and they sent it through DeFi Llama AI to assess it, right? And you can read that right here. I will share this tweet and you can kind of get into it a little bit deeper. It's pretty cool. It's really in depth and it does give a lot of information, but it does say a few things that's obvious, right? So first of all, it says, FRX USD and USDC, they're not comparable because the TVL is astronomically different. And I agree with that completely. Obviously, I wasn't trying to say that these two tokens are peers in that aspect, right? But what I am calling for is I'm calling for people. I said here, I'm calling for FRX I'm not calling for it to completely replace USDC tomorrow, but I'm calling for teams to consider using it as one of their tokens. And it says the AI basically came back and said to the point of teams using it instead, it's not quite ready yet. But I disagree with that because teams have to use it. That's how it will grow. and become comparable and become a TVL or market cap peer of USDC is by teams deciding to use it. And you can go through the tweet and see all the reasons I give. There are a lot of reasons, but the main factor is that FRX or Frax will support your team in many ways. So they have co-incentive campaigns as well as marketing. Like, when have you ever seen USDC retweet a project that adopted USDC as their token? They don't do any social support at all. They obviously are not incentivizing liquidity pools across the chain, and they don't even share the revenue with their stockholders. Whereas all of that stuff happens if you use Frax. Frax is sharing all the revenue with the holders of the tokens. Fraxes will retweet you and do campaigns with you to socialize and promote your project, and they will also probably set up a system of co-incentivization for the liquidity pools. Like, it happens many times all the time with a lot of projects. So check it out, especially if you are considering making a liquidity pool anytime soon. Okay, so here we have Rabby Wallet has a new feature, which is pretty cool. It's called Convert Dust. So you can kind of select a whole bunch of dusty tokens inside your wallet and then convert them all, sell them all, and turn them into something that's not dust, like, I don't know, USDC or USDT or whatever. So you can check it out. I haven't played with this yet, but I think it's pretty cool. Moving on, here we have ETHStrat. So ETHStrat is saying they do not support the Bitcoiners freezing the users' coins. So there's a little bit of talk about in Bitcoin these days about them forking Bitcoin, and all of the tokens that are like kind of frozen, just kind of taking them, or freezing people's coins, those coins that are like idle, like not being used and stuff like that. I don't really understand it because I don't hold Bitcoin, and I don't really plan on holding Bitcoin anymore. So I'm not really digging deep into it, but it is something of interest. Like, some of the things that I've read are pretty scary and weird. Now, you can never believe anything you read on Twitter. So, dig deeper and find out, if you do hold Bitcoin, what are they talking about in this aspect? Okay, moving on. Here we have Lord Geordie. He's talking about Aerodrome. He says in 3 months. So I didn't know it's in 3 months, and I thought I would share this. So Aerodrome and Velodrome, they are run by the same team, same product, and they are basically going to combine all of their tokens into one protocol now. So, which is fantastic. So instead of having Aerodrome on Base and Velodrome on all of these other chains, they're just going to like squish it all together. So if you do hold Aero or Velo, you can consider that you're going to be merged into one protocol. So if you are holding these, you should probably take a look at it. And then he, shows some data about, people are bullish, they're buying, tokens pumping and stuff like that. So consider that as well. Okay. Moving on, the last thing I want to say, this has nothing to do with crypto, but it does have to do with X and just proper morals and proper, etiquette. I think this is terrible. Like, this guy's like laughing my ass off. Who made this? And it's like this like JD Vance, like Jedi Knight thing. But as you go through the video, you can clearly see across the top, like right here, like at Maverick Darby, like it's like literally like all he has to how could he not see that? And the worst part about this is, he's got a PhD in computer engineering, and he doesn't like know how to tag someone and give them credit. Like, how did this guy get a PhD, but he doesn't know how? He doesn't have citation ethics or etiquette. Like what's like this drives me crazy. It's like he's basically stealing this guy's like video and pretending that he doesn't know who made it. And like he in order to share this video, he had to download it first, and it's not easy to download. Like, you can't just like I can't just click this video and there's no button. I can't right click it and copy it. I have to run it through a app or a download video system. Maybe he's a computer engineer. He might have an AI bot downloading it, right? But the point is, it takes more steps than to just like, oh, look at this thing I saw and retweet it. I hate this etiquette on X and how people don't cite people and don't share where they've seen stuff. But anyways, that's it for today. I hope this has been useful and interesting, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.